Hey guys, Cutterup Rob here. Had a couple of people ask about doing a video on where to put a pyro gauge on your Cummins. So gonna do a short video on that, give you where I would put it. Some guys might argue, that's all right. I've been doing this for long enough that way that I've doing it, I've never had an issue, so here we are. So these are two manifolds we're working with. So this one is off of a 12 valve Cummins. Now if you have a early 24 valve Cummins, so 98.5 to 2002, it's going to look similar to this, but it'll have, these ports will be round instead of this shape, instead of triangle shape, rectangle shape. And then your channel flange will be the same on this side, but and then it's more of a log shape than a square. These ones are kind of square rectangle shape. But anyways, it's still the same as far as very similar design. Now this is actually off of a 6.7 Cummins, but the later 24 valve that has the low mount turbo, or if you have a motorhome style, and some industrial stuff kind of looks like this, whether it be 24 valve or 12 valve. But so I'll start off with the 12 valve one. So 12 valve and the VP44 trucks, when you're putting in your EGT probe, I always want to go pre-turbo. Doesn't matter what diesel engine I'm talking about, I always want it pre-turbo, because you want to know that the turbo itself isn't affecting your reading. So if you put a different turbocharger on this, you can have a different variance in temperature, like from, let's say, an H1C, which come on the first gens, an HX35, which comes on the second gens, or in the later VP, or the later VP trucks is still an HX35, but a better HX35. But let's say it has a 62 over a 65 turbo on it. That is going to change the readings that you're going to get, because you're going to have less back pressure. And there is a formula for figuring it out, but for simplicity's sake, it's just easier to put your EGT probe pre-turbo. And then the same with the 24 valve. But you can see somebody's drilled and tapped this one. This is not the right spot to put it. So if you guys look in there, you guys look in there, I don't know if you'd be able to, and you can see in the picture that it's taking the reading from the front 3 cylinders, and it's like kind of jerried in there. I personally don't like it like that. But because there's a divider inside these, on this one anyway, there's a divider, right? Because it's a dual scroll. So basically it takes pulses from these 3 cylinders, goes through this side of the scroll, these 3 cylinders through this side of the scroll. So the reason that I like it on the back is inherently the way that the engine is designed, your back 3 cylinders are always going to run hotter than your 3 front cylinders. Just the way the coolant flows, engine transfers of the heat, the way that the engine transfers heat. So you want to drill, if you were to drill this manifold, I would drill and tap it right there. Now, if you wanted to know just what your back 2 cylinders were, obviously you could drill and tap it right here. I personally like to know what these 3 cylinders are doing, so I would drill and tap it here, because like I said, they're in here, there is actually, like all the way across there is no adjoining piece. So for instance, in this manifold, really when it comes down to it, there's actually this chunk of the manifold's going one half and this chunk is going the other half. But anyways, so that's where I would do it on a 12 valve or a VP44 truck, or if you have a 2nd gen swap on your 6.7 or 2nd gen swap on your 5.9 common rail, I would be putting an EGT probe there. Now you buy an aftermarket manifold, you will have an EGT probe hole. Usually they'll already have them pre-drilled and tapped. There'll be one here, one here. I personally use the back one. You know, and if you're doing a compound setup, most of the time you're going to invert the manifold. So it's facing, this is facing up, get stuff out of the way. So now your hole would be on the opposite side. So I would put your EGT probe here. So this is your back 3 cylinders. So just depending on how you have the manifold. So just back 3 cylinders on this style of manifold. Now, take this one out of the entrance here. If you take this manifold, which is common rail 6.7, if the truck has been deleted, you can, the plate that you put on here will already be drilled and tapped for a EGT probe. So super easy, you can just put your EGT probe there. Now if your truck is still emissions equipped, obviously you can't get at the top of the manifold. So these ones aren't a dual scroll, so all of the cylinders are going to come through here. So on one of these, if I was doing it, obviously emissions equipped still, I would be drilling and tapping here. Now that being said, these manifolds are bad for cracking, and so are these ones. These are bad for cracking as well. But if you want an EGT probe, it's just nature of the beast, you're going to have to drill a hole. Now the easiest way to do this, and not have to worry about any filings, that type of stuff getting into your motor, you would drill and tap this manifold off. Now if you're just doing an EGT probe, most people don't want to drill and tap, don't want to pull the manifold off to drill and tap it. Now how I do it, so there's more than one way to skin a cat, obviously, but the way that I do it is manifold or engine cold. What I do is I fire the truck up, I drill my hole with the truck running. I drill my hole. So basically the back pressure that's in the system at that point, at an idle, as soon as you start to break through, it's going to try to shove the crap out. So all your shavings are going to come out. I shouldn't say all the shavings. Most of the shavings are going to come out. Not a foolproof way to do it. I've done 100 that way, never had an issue. But you potentially could have an issue. But if you run the truck and it's shoving air out, you're going to have a better chance of not getting stuff in there. And then when you go to break through it, if you know you're starting to break through, if you slow the pressure you have on the drilling it, so that you're not just breaking through, there again, better chance that the stuff is all going to come out. Same with these guys. I would drill and tap it with truck running. And then you do your tap the same way. Lots of guys will tap it. What they do is they put grease on the end of the tap, and then they'll tap a little bit. You clean the grease off, tap a little bit. There again, being that it has, you shut the truck off, let the manifold cool again. When you have the manifold, pressure there, especially when you're tapping, all the filings now are going to be shoved out because there's a cavity for the filings to come out on the tap, right? So not a huge deal. And like I said, I've done 100 that way and never had an issue with one. That being said, you could have an issue. So, beware of doing it, I suppose. But that's the way I've always done it. So anyways, that's the video on that one, guys. Just a quick, I had a couple of people ask about it, so I thought I'd do it up quick. And then for your drive pressure, if you're doing drive pressure gauge, you can do the same thing. If you wanted to drill the hole on the front side, if you're talking a dual scroll, I would have your drive pressure on the front side, which is perfect because you're going to have your pyro on the back side. And then, the 6.7, it's going to be transferred across there. 6.7, you can, there's, plates and stuff. If it's deleted, you can do it that way. But anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.